Hey, this is Reno, and this is the Three Count Podcast.
Yeah. Do you wanna get live with me? Do you really wanna ride with me?
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Enter Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by season 4, after our 300 something episode, I would just hope you say with me, I am your Sherpa. Because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering ring. So who's entering ring? You can find this person at Orochi. You can find this person at SKPW. You can find him at Outbreak, CZW, WWWA, VPW, PWE, LCW, ACPW, and New Moon. He is a worker. He is a manager. He's an innovator. He's a creator. He is God tier when it comes to making your stuff, if you need it made. But more importantly, he is the man, the myth, the legend, and the incredible Reno.
Man, thanks. I need you to do my introductions every show. That was amazing.
Oh no, man! Like I definitely appreciate you coming on the show. This is going to be a lot of fun because I can't wait to pick your brain about certain things that go on with this like crazy business we call wrestling.
I know, right? that's the first thing people say. The crazy business.
It really is. It really is. It's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, like all the stuff that happens, and like when you get into like because like I've only been in for I'm getting up to my 4th year, right? Okay. And it's about like that time frame where you start to kind of realize like, hey, like your trainer really can't do like everything for you. Some things you're just gonna have to go and do on your own to kind of figure out. But it's like all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, right? With like wrestling is insane. There's like, it's obvious that you have to network, right? Like that's the number one rule that like you get taught like right away from like wrestling. Like aside from being like told how to do your bumps and things like that, but it's also like, like you got to learn how to network and talk to people and just adjust to all different types of personalities because you never know what's gonna happen. You have that one quiet dude in the back, and you got to like talk to him, and then like you go up to you say hi, or if you don't say hi, the next thing you know, you're not back on that show, and you're trying to figure out why. Yeah. And it's because you missed the person.
It could be super weird. Like you said, you've been coming up to your 4 years. Congratulations. I've been in for 14 years, and I can see how it changed from the time I started training at CZW and then going on, and it's a lot different now. That's why I started training myself. Cause I did start seeing like some of the new guys coming in that wasn't showing respect to the boys' brother. You know what I mean? It just wasn't that locker room respect wasn't there. So I wanted to help with the new crew that was coming up and show like, hey, if you want to make it here, you want people to help you out, you got to be respectful. Don't just think you can come in because you can do some flips and you look good and they just supposed to help you out. This is a family. If I go in the ring with you, I'm trusting you on my body, and we got to work together. So people don't understand that. That's why I'm trying to help out with that.
And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people ultimately forget, like, they're like, well, like, and we're not going to use the F word here, but, it's predetermined. Like, it's scripted. Like, you guys already know what moves you're going to hit. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't make any less dangerous.
It still hurts.
Yeah, it's like telling people like, oh, well, you're gonna go out and do ballroom dancing. You guys are just gonna like put it together, and nothing bad ever happens. But people fall all the time. Like you could go wrong really quick.
Yeah, I love when people are like, oh, it's fake, right? So you think Robert Downey Jr. is flying around in an iron suit on the screen?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'd be like, you think Zach Morris is really coming up with all of those half-brain, thought-out schemes and solutions? No.
Nah, not happening.
I legit love it. One of my favorite things about like people who say that, right, who are like, oh, it's not real anyway. I'm like, are you the same person who just sits in the live theater, right, while Hamilton is going on, yelling at Lin-Manuel Miranda, like, hey, Lin, I don't know if you know this or not, man, but it's been proven that that Hamilton was white, even though he's from Puerto Rico. Like no one says that. Like it's so crazy. It's so weird that like I love the sport, the theatrics or whatever you want to call it for
Hmm.
pro wrestling. I love pro wrestling. And it's like
Yeah.
it is the only place where fans legitimately think that their voice is like the only thing that matters.
Yeah, I love it, especially a few years ago when I was playing mostly heel, and I love when the crowd just start chanting things at me, and they used to say some of the craziest things, and I just answer them back, and it like completely shut them off. Like one guy told me I had a cup boobs. I said no, they D cup. Get it right, and I lifted up, and he just completely shut him down. He's like I like messing with them. They'd be the same person as I walking around. I grab your chips and eat them, but throw water on you. Later on, you ask me for an autograph. It's a funny business.
It is. I was actually a face, and I heard a random person in the crowd. They were in the front row, and they go, "I don't like this guy at all." And I was like, "Word!" So I jumped out the ring, and I went and I sat down next to him. And I grabbed his drink and his popcorn and sat it in my lap. And I was like,
Yeah,
"I'm gonna
you
join
go
the
do
show
it.
too." I was like, "Do you want to get in?" I was like, "You and I, we can just hang out and watch the show. Are you having a good time?" He's like, "I was until you came and sat down." And like mid match, I hit this sequence, and then I hear, "I kind of like him now." I was like, "I like you too," like just like acknowledging.
Yeah, you gotta. Sometimes you gotta come back at them. Sometimes it just you can't. It just some of the crap that they come out their mouth is just like, oh, I gotta get you. Oh, I can't let this go by. I gotta get you because I gotta make you look like an idiot in front of everybody.
But what drew you to the business though?
Uh, well, my uncle, my uncle, got me into when I was a kid, and we used to go to. I'm about to show my age. We used to go to the Spectrum and watch wrestling and Hogan and all those down there. And every pay per view come on, he would order it. Every time WCW was here at the old Civic Center, we would go. I was at Slamboree '94, and it just grew from there. Him and my uncle like, yeah, once you get older, when you get in the business, I'm gonna be your manager, and stuff like that. And I played football, didn't wasn't my thing. I did try other things, wasn't my thing. And this is just something I always wanted to do. But at a young age, uh, started a family. I had kids young, so I had to put it on the back burner until I actually found CZW. I heard of CZW because I was always going down to ECW arena, but actually ACPW was on like a cable access channel, and they were saying they had a wrestling school, and the wrestling school was in Aston, PA. And I just got a car. Me and my buddy and my son, who's in the business right now, TJ Reno. He was about three, I believe. He was like around like 3 years old. Hauled ass up there, did a tryout, and did my tryout. They asked me to come in and help out at a show that he was having. And right when I was about to start school, my car broke down. So I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. And then I was staying down South Philly, and CZW was having open tryouts for it was one of the Chris Cash memorial shows, and they was having open tryouts before the show. And I went down there, did my tryout. Like a month or so later, I started training down there,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, that's the rest is history.
But it is cool because like when you get to train in places or you get to be at places that like have a lot of history to them. Because what's funny is like me personally, I'm from Nebraska, so a lot of people like don't
Okay.
realize that when me moving to Baltimore and like still learning about the history and stuff like that with pro wrestling, like it's not like I choose to not acknowledge it, but it's just like there's a lot of
A lot.
history to like learn to pick up and like talk about and understand because you mentioned it with the Spectrum. I remember when it was McNichols Arena, and then
Right.
they moved, and then they moved to the Pepsi Center. And so,
Right.
like me watching the Nuggets and seeing like UFC one for the first time, like I fell in love with like the UFC and understanding. And then randomly one day, like I turn on the TV, and I get to see, Chris Jericho like coming out for the first time on a
Mm.
Saturday night, right? But
Right,
before
right.
all that, my aunt like introduced me to Saturday morning WWF. It was a cartoon. It
Superstars.
was, yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah, the
on
show. Yeah,
there,
the cartoon.
yeah, and then the show came on right after, and
Mm-hmm.
there's Jake the Snake Roberts all wrapped up in the Macho Man wrapped up in the ropes, and Jake the Snake is getting bit
The
by a
snake one.
fucking with a cobra, and I was like, this is the first thing I get to see for pro wrestling. And I was like, I have to
Right,
be a
right.
part of what this is, and so for me, it was just like you, right? Like we kind of have to like venture and journey around, and then eventually
Yeah.
like things kind of worked up, and even for me, like when I got in, like my daughter, she's 12 now. It was 4 years ago. You're talking about like she was 8, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go learn how to bump and take hip
Right, right.
tosses and stuff, and then try to make something happen. So I definitely can relate to like having the kid and like
Mm-hmm.
working and stuff and getting it put together, and then learning about the business, like I guess like a crash course kind of sense.
And when you first, people don't understand, when you first go to wrestling school, it's a humble experience, man. You think you know everything because you watch it on TV. You did backyard wrestling, which we all did, until you get in there, you actually take a bump on an actual mat in the actual ring. You're like, I don't know shit. And that is the most humbling experience in the world. But I don't know a goddamn thing. Well, yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But there's something you want to do. You gotta stick it out and you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and then you kind of like learn. But see, like the cool thing about it, right, is like for you, like you obviously have a talent for like doing other things too, right? So like not only you're
Hmm.
like this incredible worker, but here you are like a gear maker as well, and you're always giving back to the community, right? Like you're just helping out
Right.
with the community. Like me, I don't have sewing capabilities yet. I plan on learning someday, but I do have a podcast that I just like
Right.
to ramble and talk on. So I was like, I love to get back and like make kind of like a crash course with like this whole thing and like this whole world that you like get into and you have to start learning about, because it is a lot. And they always talk about like the 10,000 hour man becomes a master at whatever
Yeah.
craft
Right.
he's
Right.
trying to accomplish. And like, well, I don't have 10,000 hours. It's like I have to
Yeah.
make the most of what I
Listen,
can when I can.
I was an artist coming up, and my grandma and my aunt, they also, so I always watched them. I did sewing in school. Um, my grandmother passed away in 2013, and I inherited her sewing machine. I let it sit for a few years, and I used to have a friend of mine who used to make all my gear. Because when I first started, I used to get tights from like the plus size stores, and they put iron on letters. Because I went to a locker room one time, and it was like 3 to 4 people was wearing the exact same thing from High Spots. It was pleather pants with either a lightning bolt or a star on it, and I was like, not doing that. So 2018, that's when I made my very first pair of like tights for myself and my partner at the time, King Blackie, and it was just like those things was rough. But I'm coming to the I'll be a lot of people know that I'll be 41 in July. So 14 years in this business. I'm not sure how much longer I got, but I know I'm gonna always do something in the business. Like I said, I got the school. Uh, always looking for new students. Anybody out there want to be a wrestler, hit me up. And I got the gear, Reno gear. So I'm always gonna be doing something in wrestling if I'm not in the ring bumping myself.
I think that's important too, is that like you're gonna have to have like that post plan of like whatever it is that you want to get accomplished, right? For like you,
Hmm.
obviously with the school and the gear making. For me, it's gonna be with this podcast because I'm gonna take this as far as we can go and run with it.
All right.
Also, but it's like also you also gotta kind of find like something else, like some other kind of niche that you kind of want to get into, because you're gonna have to find a way to like draw people in and get people to like
Right.
to recognize the brand. I think the other thing that really is unique about like the wrestling business is that like you legitimately control everything, right? Like I know
Right.
people in the business world, they're like, well, if you're the CEO, you have this, and like, no, not really. You got to answer to like shareholders and whatnot. But like in the
Hmm.
wrestling business, your whole business rides and dies on you. So if
It's
you do
you.
something stupid, like, hey, you could just ask yourself like really quick from the whole entire thing.
Hmm. Yeah, like coming up, I do wish, and this is what I like to tell and teach people. I wish I would have did a lot more networking than I did. I did some, but I will have to say like probably like ego got in the way of certain things, or being around the wrong people got in the way of certain things. So I try to like steer the new people into like the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because you got if you want to make this a career, you got to get out there. It's like I said, I've been doing this for 14 years. I did TNA tryouts, I did Ring of Honor tryouts, and nothing come out. People always ask you, "Oh, when you going to WWE?" Never. I am I am old. I am content where I am now. If that just means like be an indie darling and like go up and down the road for as long as my knees and everything else can hold up, okay, I'm fine with that. But if you want to make this, you want to go further, like I told my son TJ, if you want to make this further, go out there, make those connections. Hey, you want to wrestle in this company? They say come down, help out. If you can get there, go. Go do that. Show your face. But also be respectful because you're representing me. Because most of the time, the people that you're going to, they know who I am.
Well, and that's like the thing too, is that like and that's just good life advice, just in general. It's just like to always
Hmm.
remember, like you're always gonna represent something bigger than yourself, regardless of like what it is. Like for even like for me, like going to personal training, I know I work for a company, right? And if I'm
Hmm.
working for that company, then if I go out there and I act an asshole somewhere, like let's say I say some crazy ass shit at a wrestling show, right?
Right.
Well, Red Dog. Well, there's only really in the DMV as well in the like the Mid Atlantic. There's only one person who runs around calling himself Red Dog. So that's gonna
Right.
get
Right.
around pretty quickly. Like, oh, did you hear what Red Dog said at this show? Who's Red Dog?
Hmm.
It's just gonna pop up right away who I am. And
Yep.
like it's gonna be so you really just embarrass like not just yourself, but like your employer, everybody around you,
Your
and you can
family.
get canked, super quick.
Yeah. Some people just don't understand, and you can't help everybody. So it is what it is. But I'm always willing to help out, give advice if anybody want to listen to it. Like I'm willing to, if we were in a locker room, anybody asks any questions, hey, about my match or anything like that, come talk to me. If I see that you're listening, I'm gonna continue to talk to you. If not, well, fuck you. You guys sink on your own. I don't care.
I think that's an important thing too, is that like everybody talks about like if you're asking for advice or like critiques or anything like that, like you should accept all of them, right? But then obviously like apply what applies to
Yeah,
you, and then like help make yourself better. I think it's funny though because like I hear a lot of people talk about like take the critiques that apply, and some people think that like, hey, that means take the positive stuff and then just throw away all the rest. And it's like,
yeah.
no, 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 no.
You
Take
gotta
some of that
take
negative stuff.
everything,
Yeah.
everything. I had a old school worker, and this was back in, I want to say 2016, maybe 17. And at that time, I was wrestling for, over almost 10 years at that point. And he came to me like, hey, I just want to let you know, I want to come talk to you. You got to work on your punches. The punches you was throwing out there didn't look good. Cool. Show me what I was doing wrong. Like, I don't like throwing punches anyway, so that's why I always throw forearms. Cause I think my punches suck. So if you're gonna show me a good way to make my punches not look bad, I'm gonna listen to you.
Yeah, that was something for me too. It's like that's and I think because a lot of people talk about it, that's like one of the hardest things just to master in general is throwing like a
Hmm.
good worker punch. And it's like, yeah, because like too close, right? You can stiff somebody, you can give someone like a real potato, and too
Hmm.
far, and you look like you are like in a bad action, like a
It's just
bad
like right
action
there.
movie.
Like you don't touch me. It's just
It's just like big old gap, like
yeah, it's like what the hell are you doing? Yeah, it's freaking weird. But some people don't want to listen. Yeah, it is what it is. I knew it was. my punch was bad. I think they better now, but just never know.
See, for me, one of the biggest critiques I got was like one, like I was getting into shape and I was actually like looking better. But the funniest part was someone came to me and they told me straight up, they're like, "Hey, you need to like bronzer up because you look like a giant fucking
Mm.
spotlight out there." I was like, "What?" And then and
I don't have that problem.
yeah. You know what's crazy is that being half Latin, I wouldn't think I had that problem either. But then like I lightened up really quick and I was like, "Uh-oh, we are in trouble." So like I
Right,
need to
right.
fix this. But it was, he brought it up and I went to like at one show, I went to another show and I saw the pictures of the show and I was like,
Hmm.
"Whoa." I was like, "Okay." So then like I went on and started putting on some like bronzer, right, making myself a little
All right.
darker. And I saw the photos from that show and I was like, "Whoa, I look
Yeah,
incredible."
that's right, man. Yeah,
I was like,
man.
"All right." Little ego
You
boost,
gotta,
making myself a little front.
you got, you gotta do what's best for you, and you gotta look your best. Like I'm a big dude. I am over 320 pounds. I'm a big motherfucker. I don't have a six pack, nor do I care to have one at this point. It's just like it is what it is. So I can move around in the ring what I have to do. So it works for me.
I think, and that's the thing though, is like that's what makes wrestling so much more. What makes wrestling so fun though is that like in wrestling, like we have these like it's for everybody, and everybody has like their own unique spin on whatever it is that they're
Hmm.
trying to do, right? Like
Right, right.
not everybody is gonna throw a kick the same way. Not everybody's gonna throw a punch the same way. Not everybody's gonna want to do a hip
Hmm.
toss the same way. And even
And you're
when
not
I think
supposed
about
to.
hip, yeah,
You got to
I
stand out.
tell I laugh because I love throwing hip tosses, but I love throwing hip tosses the way Santino Morella did it,
With
right?
the leg.
Like yeah, with the leg and everything, because
Yeah.
I was sell out for it. And
It's just, yeah, it's a unique and different way of doing things. Like uh this business hurt. And the more and more it goes, people go out there and do these dangerous moves when that's all fine and good. But if you're not doing them right, what's the point? And if you're not listening to the crowd, what's the point? You doing 30 flips, three super kicks, a Frankensteiner, and all that, and the crowd just like, you know what I mean? Nothing. I could do half of that and have the crowd on their feet, and because I'm working with them, the crowd want to be there. The crowd want to be a part of the show. When I see stuff like that, when people just go out there and do moves, I call it wrestle by numbers. Like, oh, I need you to be here. You be here at this time. You can go around and do this. You got to do unique stuff. Like you said, you do the hip toss. You do the hip toss, like Santino. It's something different. It's not a regular hip toss. I used to do a leg drop, but I used to hit the ropes and tiptoe before I do the leg drop. It's something different. It's
I
it's
have
always
a
it's something different.
so I have like a lot of my character work is based like off of Deadpool. Like,
Hmm.
and one of my favorite things to do is I have this spot where like I act like I have a gun and I'm shooting said person, and they don't sell obviously because it's fake. It's not a real freaking gun. So then they'll push it out of the way and I throw strikes, right? So I throw a punch to the shoulders, and then funny thing is if you there was this cop game back in the day, right? And it was a
Hmm.
trainer game, right? And it was an arcade trainer game but they will always tell you to shoot at the shoulders, and then
Yeah.
like, so I would always aim, right? So I hit both shoulders, and I'll hit somebody in the leg, and it drops into one knee, and then I act like I have a grenade. I throw it in the air. They look up, and I hit them with the DDT, like the Mrs.
Nice.
DDT. And I think it's a fun spot, but the crowd pops for it every single time that I do it.
That's
And I'm
your
like, yo, I love it. And
and
that's
that's
it.
your
That's it.
unique spot. That's your
And
unique spot. That stuff you do. Like I came up like like Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler. I like the power of Bulldog. Taz for his suplexes. Steiner brothers are my favorite tag team. It's just like you just take a little bit of everything like that. I do a stalling suplex, but I also would probably do some squats or I might wiggle my hips sometimes. It's like you sort of go out there and have fun with it. And not everything got to be so serious all the time. It's boring.
It
boring.
is.
This is entertainment. I know people hate the word, but it's sports entertainment. That's what it is.
And you're supposed like you're just supposed to enjoy what you're doing. Like
Right.
that's for me too. Like where I sat back and I remember like the first couple months because this was something else I thought, right, and this was something that I had to like break out and mold. And I've talked about this numerous times on this podcast, but I just it's something that I have to like keep ingraining in my head. I thought that my trainer gave me my gimmick, and that's how you did it, and you
Hmm.
just had to run with it. And my trainer, I love Sicking to Death, right? Uh, and
I
he goes,
got stories.
he goes, well, you were in the military, so you could be like the military guy. You gotta be very like stoic and like, you got to press forward. You're always like calculating and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I would try to cut promos like very serious and stuff. And even my
Wasn't
friends
you?
that were in the business understood. They're like, oh, that's not you. You got to be you. And so when I started cracking jokes and like talking shit
Right.
about it, like that's when I was like, okay, this is who it is supposed to be. And I started telling him that, and he was like, run with it, see what happens. And
Yeah.
sure enough, like it went wild. Like it was just wild, like wildfire, just all over the place, and we were just having fun. And then now we started working. Now we worked a couple matches together, and at one point, I was biting his hand, and I was just staring at Jason Drake with his hand in my mouth, and Jason goes, "You're literally biting the hand that feeds you." Like,
That
but
was a good
it's
one.
those it's those little dumb things I get to do where I was like, "Hey, Nickelback, head on out. No one wants you here." Like, we just have like fun times getting to like bust chops, and like now I get to like open up and like just do the dumb things I've always wanted to say and just say them like carelessly.
It's like that's the thing people don't understand. Like I won my first heavyweight title back in 2012, I want to say, and the person I won it from is a good friend of mine. Big Country, Dalton James, 7 foot monster, funny. He's one of the funniest dudes you ever want to meet. And we having this match. We used to it was for DWF Loco, which is not around anymore. And he has me in a headlock, and he gives me a wet willy. And I'm trying to sell this headlock. He said, "You better not sell it." And he's just talking mad shit in my ear. I'm trying not to break character. It's just like you gotta have fucking fun doing this shit, man. If you don't, why are you here?
Yeah,
Like, why are you
it's
here?
become my goal. It's become my goal now, at least in singles matches and trying to do in tag matches, is to make the other person break character while we're in a match. It's like that's like my new goal now of wanting to do like
Mhm.
one time TJ Sykes had me in a chokehold, and he went to bite me in the ear, and I was like, "Ref, he's biting me," and he was like, "No, he's not." I was like, "I feel like I'm fighting Mike Tyson," and like in the video, you see him go, and he just turned like really hard. He was trying not to laugh, and I was like, got him.
Like I walk around like in my entrance. It depends. In my entrance, I come out like I find an old lady and I give her a lap dance.
Hey.
I I do a sh- I do a strip tease when I take my robe off, and if I'm a heel, I do a whole the straps down and the whole thing go down to my underwear. Like it's just like I love it, man. You just gotta have fun with it.
That's what makes it. It's
I
funny.
like to.
I've never. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I had over the years, I had so many gimmicks and different names and stuff people tried to make me use, and it's. I remember when I was rookie, somebody was trying to make me a cowboy. I said that no, that's not gonna work. Like, no, you're gonna be a cowboy. Then they're like, oh, you're gonna be a prophet. You're gonna come out and you're gonna have followers. And I said, okay. They used to call me. Somebody called me the Force on commentary. Have no idea why. So they start calling me the Force Tyreno. I was a black Irishman. Was Ty Mick Ty McReno, the sexiest man you ever did see. I had a whole bunch of these ridiculous gimmicks. And it's like this is no.
You see, it's funny because you're talking about how like you would be like a prophet, right? And you would come out with minions and stuff, and they would call you the Force. Like,
Right.
what if you just like had turned that and you just like became like the dark side of like the Force and just used like a Star Wars thing and just ran with
Yeah,
it?
but that's not even what they had in mind. And I was a rookie, so I was like, yeah, okay. I know, like
Yeah.
this is stupid. Like this
Yeah.
is not gonna work. This is.
It's
I just happened to
but
be in the ring. My first year, I got my ass whooped for a whole year straight.
so you said that you have stories. I don't normally do this, but I'm just curious. Like, tell me one of your favorite stories about Sicken.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I wrestled second in a tag team because it's always been Riot City versus the Gunners. And it's Sicken and import tag team partner here, Matt Wild or Vic Ramone or Ron Holiday or whoever else is inside Riot City at the moment they pulled off the street. And that man he is a driven dude. I swear to you. He is a funny dude and he would try to wrestle. He'd probably wrestle tonight if he could.
Oh yeah.
There's certain things I'm not going to say because he knows. Yeah, he's a character, man, and we could get in there and wrestle and wouldn't have to call a thing. As Ron would say, you know our shit, but just trying to get that shit in. We just want to get that shit in. I'm like, yes, Ron, we know your shit.
It's funny because
I've
like
been hit with the same shit every time. I know what you're trying to do.
it's funny though because like everybody who's met, and I say this a lot,
Oh, but
right?
Sicken, you've
Anybody.
never beat me for a championship ever, and you know it. That's why you want to bring me. That's why you want to bring me down to Maryland.
I'm, I'm gonna make sure to tag him so that he can watch this episode. But it's something I bring up a lot though, is that anybody who's ever met Ron Holiday, right,
Got around
has
that.
a knows the Ron impression, has a Ron impression, and it is always amazing to see people who like they get thrown like whenever I tell them like, oh yeah, I'm from Baltimore, like, and I know I'm with Sicken. They're like, oh, and then everybody got to do like the Ron Holiday impression, and it's always on point. And I'm like, yo, I just
He's
die
always
laughing.
a lighter. Hey man, I didn't see you in a minute. He's always up here.
Yeah, he's like, and it was what makes me laugh about Ron is that like he just he's so carefree about like life, but then like he gets in a ring and then like that carefree attitude still stays in, and sometimes like things happen. Like he was running this tag match against Pure Ignorance right at HWS,
Hmm.
and Ron's gonna kill me for telling this story, but Chaz and Prince are gonna love you for telling the story too, right? And so like in the ring, I'm on commentary. I can hear like everything that's going on, right? And Mad Max is in the match, right? And he goes, "Hey, drop toe hold," and you hear Prince drop toe hold. You hear Chaz drop toe hold, right? So off the ropes, just Ron, boom, lays in this shot at Prince, and Prince turns and just hits him right back. He said, "Drop toe hold." But you hear Ron. Oh fuck, buddy.
You know us is a crazy motherfucker that's in your group? That goddamn Eric Acton.
Yeah.
The last time I was in a locker room with Eric, I'm looking through the curtain at his match. I turned my head for a second. Next, you know, Eric was throwing up on my shoe. He ran to the back because he was about to vomit, and it got on my foot.
Damn.
I'll clean it off, brother. I'm sorry, and ran back out to the ring. I didn't. I was pissed. I'm like, what?
What just happened?
Like, just fucking threw him on my foot. Oh, I'm so sorry, brother. Like,
It's too late now, man. Is
you
that
can't.
chunky? Is that chunky Campbell soup? Like that's
You can't. Like, you can't make this shit up. Like, okay.
Yo, actually, so that kind of brings learning lessons the hard way. So I'm kind of curious and wanting to know, like, what's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn being in this business?
Oh my God. Be careful what you eat before you have a match.
Oh,
Be careful what you eat before you have a match. Cause man, it's been I'm a I'm embarrassed to say it, but hey, I'm just gonna say it. I don't give a shit. Um, I was like a year or so in. I don't know if you noticed. Older wrestler, Doctor Ruthless,
I
the
know the name.
big motherfucker, and he wasn't even supposed to be my opponent that night. He showed up because the show was down the street from his house.
Mm.
So he was going to the store to grab some milk or some shit and ended up wrestling. He he splashed me not once, but three times. Two splashes, one leg drop. And I had on white long tights. Mind you, I said I used to buy my tights from the store. And I swear to God, I shitted myself. I was afraid to get off the mat. And it happened again about a year ago. And I had to run to the bathroom. Luckily, it was stuck right there. But careful what you eat. Yeah, yeah, I shitted myself. Who give a shit? Whatever. It happens. Just be careful what you eat before you go out there and wrestle.
Right. That
And
makes a
also,
lot of sense.
on a serious note, just be careful. Well, like I said earlier, who you hang around with, and you can learn that the hard way. It could be detrimental. It could help you, but it also could hurt you a lot. And just be careful who you hang around with, man. Make sure you got a good circle around you that's there for you, and y'all want the same thing.
I like that. I like that a lot. So listen, 14 years, right, in the business. I'm sure
Yeah,
you've been in a lot of different locker rooms. So what I do need
yeah.
before we get into the best segment of the Three Count Podcast, I do need one do and one don't of the locker room.
Okay, do you come in the locker room, especially if you're the new person in the locker room? Don't be a dick. You know what I mean? Don't be a dick. So 'cause sometimes call time is extra early. If this is the indies, most of the time people got real jobs, real life situations. Come in, speak to everyone. Don't be a fucking dick because and if you knew, keep your damn mouth shut. Don't go in there trying to call a match like you some kind of vet. Just shut the hell up. That's what you don't do. So go in, speak, be respectful. Don't go in there running your damn mouth like you know something when you don't know a goddamn thing. When you greeter than good shit. That's the main important things. That's it. If you do those two things, mouth shut, ears open, be great. When somebody come to you and asks you something, okay. But if you're a rookie, don't come to me telling me, hey, this is what we're gonna do, this, and this. No, we're not. We're not doing that. And it's been times that happen. In the SWF locker room or anywhere else I go, I'm sitting there putting on my knee brace and I got my knee pads and putting on my kick pads and Ty, you listening? Oh yeah, what you want to do? Yeah, they said they're gonna do this and they're gonna put no, yeah, I ain't doing that. Bro, it don't make any sense. Make it make sense. At the same time, don't be a dick. Because if you be a dick, then the next person gonna be a dick to you in that damn ring. So be careful.
Yeah, I love both those lessons because that's the one thing I can like. So this is like a fun story, right? So I was at a promotion, right?
Hmm.
And vet came in, and I had legitimately, thanks to this podcast, I learned a lot of like unwritten rules. And so this vet came in, everybody else just chilling out, not doing anything, and I see the champ walk in, right? And
Hmm.
he's gonna look around saying hi to everybody. I shake his hand and I slide on my chair, not knowing that I was going to be working said person because at that time I was in what was called I was in a 6-pack challenge. So I was like, whatever,
Right,
I'm
right.
going to be in this challenge. Here's my chair, and to kind of chill out. And I'm just sitting on the floor, just getting changed, getting everything together, not really thinking anything of it. And then I get pulled to the side. Hey, we want you to work him. I was like, oh, okay, cool, I guess. Like I all right. So I go back to changing, and they tell him like, hey, you're gonna work Red Dog. He was like, all right, cool. And like 5 minutes into like maybe like 10 minutes go by, I didn't say anything. I just kind of sat there, so like put my stuff on. All of a sudden, I hear, "Hey, Red Dog, what do you do?" I was like, "Listen and sell." And he was just like, "Okay." He goes back to putting my stuff. But what do you really do? And I was like, "All right, let's talk."
And by you doing that, I'm pretty sure he was willing to do whatever you wanted to do. That was in reason.
Yeah, we went into the gun spot, and like everybody's like, they're like, I've never seen him go for that. I was like, I didn't think it was gonna work out either, but I'm so glad it did.
That's dope, man.
But yo,
All
so
right.
we're gonna hop into the best part of the 3 Count podcast, and that is the 3 Count podcast 10 count questions. Here's how it works, Mr. Reno. I'm gonna
All
fire
right.
off 10 questions at you rapid fast. Whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Okay.
So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And in the words of Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite actor?
Ooh. I'll come back to that. Come back to
PlayStation or Xbox?
that. Xbox.
Favorite cartoon?
Oh, Thundercats.
Let's
When I was a
go.
kid. Hmm.
Apple or Android?
Oh, I'm a Samsung dude all the way, man.
Marvel. Let me see. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Okay, going back when I was a kid again. Actually, Teen Wolf.
Okay, I like that.
Hmm.
Michael J. Fox. Shout out.
Yeah, my
Uh,
favorite movie as a kid.
Marvel or DC?
I'm a Marvel guy. I love DC, but the Marvel universe is so much better. I'm waiting for DC to get their shit together.
I agree. All right, back. Favorite actor?
All right, favorite actor. All right, I'm gonna go with. I like a lot of his movies, so yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Will Smith. I love a
Okay.
lot of his movies.
Favorite podcast?
Besides this one, RBR Weekly Wrestling Talk.
Let's go. It's not like we don't have this thing kind of marketed around to let people know that it's our favorite podcast.
That's right.
Nominate one person you want to see on the show.
My son. I would love to hear what he had to say. You gotta get TJ Reno on here.
Me
TJ
too, because
Reno.
that's coming soon.
Oh, really? Yeah, you gotta get TJ up here, man.
And last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on this show:
Hmm.
favorite curse word.
Motherfucker.
God bless MFers.
That's right. My favorite. Fuck is my favorite fucking word. You can put it on every fucking thing. It makes everything sound fucking better. It makes me feel fucking better when I fucking say it. Oh, fuck.
Absolutely.
That's the fuck right.
But those are all my questions that I have. So the last thing I have for you is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Hey guys, you can find me on Facebook at Ty Reno. You can find me also at Ty Reno Gear on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for this, Red Dog, man. This was dope, man. Can't wait to come back if you have me. Um, I'm still I'm still around. I know I said I was going to retire soon, but I'm still around. I can't really go nowhere. I'm still ACBW World Heavyweight Champion. So that's where you can find me.
That well, he gave you all of his handles. He told you where you can find him. He even told you about where you can get a hold of him if you want to get some gear made.
Yeah,
So
man.
with
Place your
that,
order.
yeah, place your orders. But with that being said, we gotta do like we do with every great part of a wrestling match. We gotta take this home because this is the 3 Count Podcast with us now entering, and I'm your host Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. And like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone that's been there, done that, and can do it more efficient than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring? You see him right there. It's Reno himself. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode. Or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms down below. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're subscribed to our Spotify. You're leaving those 5-star frost slash reviews that you would do on Apple Podcasts. You're even listening to us on Apple Music. You're even going out your way to, hey, there's a pup there. You're even going to go buy all of our merch on prowrestlingtees.com or even on foryourwear.com. Do all those things. Tell people about it. Comment. Or you're really just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro. And you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawhi.
Do it.
What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is to kind of show some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go on to our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on foryourwear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love, because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, between time, love y'all.